Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we are really getting into something essential, a
Ooh.
critical piece of, let's call it, spiritual excavation.
Mm-hmm.
We were analyzing the final chapter of the Quran, Surah An-Naas.
Yeah.
You probably know it as mankind.
Yeah.
It's short, incredibly short, but its power, I mean, as a kind of spiritual defense mechanism, it's immense.
That is absolutely right. And, the sources we're drawing on today, they really focus intensely on the linguistic precision, the theological weight packed into this. It's foundational text.
Right.
Our mission here isn't just to read the verses, obviously. It's to understand the profound instruction they're giving us, this necessity of seeking ultimate, truly comprehensive refuge in Allah God from the most, complex and insidious threats,
Okay.
the hidden whispers of evil. So we'll be meticulously dissecting the specific layered titles used for the protector and the surprisingly dual nature of the threat itself. It's quite something.
Okay, so if you're listening and you're one of those learners who, wants the depth but maybe needs a shortcut past just the surface translation, you want that critical nuance.
Yeah.
You are definitely in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive should give you that essential linguistic context, hopefully, to really appreciate this surah as a complete system, a system for spiritual safety.
And let's just start with the core truth, the thing that anchors this whole surah, really. The text immediately establishes that only one entity is worthy of being our true protector.
Okay.
The focus is squarely on confirming that singular, complete point of refuge before we even start identifying the threat.
Ah, interesting. So protector first, threat second.
Exactly. It's an exercise in prioritization, you could say, making sure our devotion outweighs our fear.
Okay, let's unpack this opening then, because the surah just starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
No preamble. It's an immediate active command. Kwaluzu.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I seek refuge. That's fascinating in itself because it implies the defense mechanism has to be initiated by us, by the individual. It's not passive. You have to actually, consciously, verbally start it.
That requirement for active invocation is absolutely foundational.
Yeah.
It highlights human agency, doesn't it? In the face of spiritual threat, you have to consciously turn towards the protector.
Right.
But the power of just saying, I seek refuge, isn't fully realized until we grasp who that protector is. And the verses immediately following identify this entity by not one, but three distinct comprehensive titles. Titles of authority.
Three.
Forming what we could call the triad of refuge. And this structure, theologically speaking, it's completely airtight.
Okay, let's break down that critical triad then, because choosing these three specific names, that can't be accidental. The first declaration is Nas in the Lord of Mankind. So, Rab Lord, that's the first line of defense.
Exactly. And Rab, this term is loaded with meaning far beyond just owner or master.
Right.
It implies the sustainer, the cherisher, the organizer, the provider, the regulator. All of that. It defines the relationship not just of creator and created, but one of constant active nurture. So when you seek refuge in the Rab,
You're
invoking the one who, micromanages your existence, your breathing, your circulation, your food, your growth, everything. This is the foundation. The one who provides every tiny necessity of life is the only one trustworthy enough for protection in that life.
Wow. Okay, that immediately makes it different from just praying to some distant impersonal deity. It's invoking a relationship of, absolute dependency.
Precisely.
So if Rab covers that essential relationship creation, nurturing, provision, then the second title, Malik and Nas, the sovereign of mankind, that seems to shift the focus more towards authority.
Control.
Exactly right. Malik means sovereign king or ruler. This establishes absolute authority, governance. If Rab speaks to that personal, intimate care, Malik speaks to universal dominion, total control. And why is that distinction important here?
It's crucial because, think about it, when people are afraid, where do they often seek refuge? Worldly power, right?
Yeah, governments, money, status, strong leaders.
Exactly. Governments, wealth, social status, human figures of authority. By invoking Malik, you are essentially negating the effectiveness of all this temporary, limited forms of power. You're acknowledging that this entity has complete control over all affairs, all kingdoms, all systems, all outcomes, everything.
So even if the Whisperer, we'll talk about later, is acting under orders from some other force, that force, its commanders, they're all still fundamentally under the authority of the Malik.
Correct.
That dimension really assures you that no external power, human or supernatural, can successfully mess with you unless the ultimate sovereign allows it.
Exactly. And this connects directly to that core Islamic concept of tawhid, the absolute oneness of God. Specifically, this combination of Rab and Malik addresses Tawhid ar-Rububiyyah, oneness in lordship and providence, and also aspects of Tawhid al-Azma was sifat, oneness in names and attributes. It completely undermines any polytheistic idea that, different gods control different things.
Okay, got it. One owner, one ruler. And then the final title, perhaps the most defining one, Nas, the God of mankind. This feels like it shifts again towards purpose, devotion.
Absolutely. Ilah means God, but specifically the sole entity worthy of worship, devotion, love, and submission. This completes the triad, and it directly addresses Tawhid Uluhiyya, oneness in worship.
So it brings it all together.
It does. And what's profound about the structural order here, Rab, Malik, Ilah, is how comprehensive the protection becomes. You're asking for refuge not just from the creator, Rab, and the ruler, Malik, but from the one being you worship and submit to above all else, Ilah.
So the plea for safety itself becomes an act of worship.
Precisely. It transforms the plea into profound worship.
Okay, so if we just look at the structure, the significance of using all three, it's designed to be this absolutely airtight defense covering every facet of our relationship with the divine, right?
Yes.
Like, if someone only focused on Rab, they might miss the total control of Malik.
Right.
Rely only on Malik, maybe miss the devotion needed for Ilah.
Exactly. The source material really emphasizes that isolating any one aspect means the protection is incomplete. It could even leave you vulnerable to subtle forms of shirk associating partners with God or just misplacing your trust.
Right. Trusting in worldly power instead of the Malik, for example.
Or focusing only on provision from the Rab without the worship due the Ilah. It forces you, the listener, the reciter, to realize that true protection is inherent in true submission. If you submit completely to the Ilah, then that submission inherently unlocks the care of the Rab and the governance of the Malik. It all flows from that act of worship and submission. That is the impenetrable shield established in these first 3 verses.
Wow. That makes profound sense. It's incredibly powerful to realize the total authority protecting us. But, okay, if that defense is so complete, then why is the threat described in the next verses something so subtle, so insidious, not like a physical danger or some overwhelming disaster?
Good question.
Seems like knowing who protects you really helps you understand what you're being protected from. Let's get into that.
Okay, yeah. And this is where the linguistic precision of the surah just continues to shine. We move directly into describing the evil. The prayer asks for refuge. Min sharril waswasil khannas.
Which means?
From the evil of the retreating whisperer. Notice that. The enemy is defined by its method, not its might or its size.
The whisperer waswas. Okay, that immediately tells us the nature of this fight is what? Psychological? Spiritual? Definitely subtle.
Yes.
Not a frontal assault, no loud bangs or obvious temptations necessarily. It's suggestion, doubt, infiltration.
And the term waswas itself, its root implies repetition, subtlety, an ongoing recurrent suggestion that just chips away at your resolve.
Like background noise you barely notice.
Kind of. It's that voice of doubt that pops into your mind when you're about to do something good, right?
Yeah.
Or the voice of justification that convinces you, oh, this little sin, it's not a big deal. It operates in those gray areas of moral judgment.
Okay, insidious. But then it's coupled with waswas, is that crucial description. Khannas, the retreating or hidden aspect. This is the part I find fascinating. It reveals the enemy's weakness.
Exactly. What does the linguistic root of khannas tell us?
You tell me.
The root implies drawing back, contraction, stealthy withdrawal. Like, think of a creature that darts away and hides when it hears a noise or sees light.
Okay.
The source material is really clear on this. This entity, this whisperer, it's persistent, yes, but it's also vulnerable.
So.
It suggests that the whisperer cannot operate effectively in the light of vigilance. The moment consciousness, attention, or specifically the remembrance of God Deen&Cure is present,
It runs.
it must retreat. It has to hide. Khannas.
That really highlights the dynamic nature of this spiritual warfare. It implies the evil is persistent, but also, as I said before, almost cowardly.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
It thrives in neglect, in doubt, when you're not paying attention. But if you actively engage with the protection we just talked about, if you turn your focus back to the Rab, Malik, Ilah, the attacker immediately has to flee and wait for another opening.
Exactly. And that's why the instruction back in verse 1 is active. Qual uzu. Say, you must force the retreat.
Right, you initiate it.
Yes. And this brings up an important point scholars often discuss. Is the retreat instantaneous upon just thinking of God, or does it need active verbal remembrance?
That's consensus.
The general understanding is that any sincere turning towards God, even just a flash of inner awareness, causes the khanas to momentarily withdraw. But consistent verbal tiqlid, like actually reciting the surah, is seen as the most potent established defense. It builds a stronger fortification.
Okay, so we know how the attack happens, whispering, and how to make it retreat remembrance. But where is this stealth attack aimed? Verse 5 gets specific. Allazi yuwaswisu fi sudurin An-Naas.
Who whispers into the hearts of mankind? Or more accurately, the chest.
The chests, not the mind.
Sudur. The chest, which in classical Islamic psychology is understood as the locus of, well, both the intellect akal and, crucially, the emotions, the intention, yes, the spiritual core. It's not just the seat of feeling, it's the center of your moral resolve, your spiritual heart.
Okay, why is that the most damaging target? I mean, if the whisper attacked the mind, maybe it just causes confusion or a temporary mistake in thinking.
Well, by targeting the suitor, the attack aims to pollute the very source of your iman, your faith, your intention, your moral judgment.
Yeah.
A mind can be misguided, sure, but a heart infected with doubt, with malice, with bad intentions, that's fundamentally sabotaged. It undermines the very spiritual integrity that connects you to the divine, if the heart is compromised.
And the rest follows.
The body follows into sin, the mind gets clouded by doubt, it's attacking the command center.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for the learner, I think. The surah isn't describing some big external disaster. It's describing a constant, maybe low-grade internal assault right on your core emotional and spiritual center.
Exactly.
And that just confirms why the only effective defense is that active, internal, total reliance on the comprehensive protector we discussed. Rab, Malik, Ela. It's basically a call to persistent inner vigilance. You have to guard that space.
Precisely. And that leads us directly to the final verse, which is pivotal because it broadens the scope again. It answers the crucial question. Okay, who or what are the sources of these persistent retreating whispers? Where do they come from?
Right. The final disclosure. Minal Jannati one is. From among jinn and mankind. Okay, this is the part that really elevates the surah for me, from just a defense against the devil to a defense against, well, universal malice.
It really does. It connects the threat to two distinct but interwoven categories of beings. First, the unseen threat, the jinn.
The traditional source.
Yes, this is the classic spiritual warfare component. It aligns with the general discussion of Shaytan, the hidden supernatural evil that whispers, capable of influencing the heart without any visible interaction. This is that internalized, unseen source of doubt or temptation.
Okay, that covers the sort of demonic or satanic influence we usually think of when we ask for refuge. But the explicit inclusion of mankind wanas, that's the really sophisticated insight, isn't it? That makes this surah so incredibly relevant to just daily life.
It absolutely is.
It means the evil influence, the whispering, it can be transmitted not just supernaturally, but interpersonally, through actual human beings.
Exactly. This is a profound warning that malice, that harmful suggestion, isn't solely abstract or supernatural. The method of waswas, that insidious suggestion, is employed by humans. Often intentionally, sometimes, perhaps, unintentionally.
How does that look in practice?
Oh, countless ways. The malicious person who encourages you to betray a trust, the misguided friend who makes light of sin, makes it seem normal or cool, the public figure who deliberately sows discord and hatred, even just subtle negative comments that undermine your self-worth or chip away at your faith.
So the whisper that pollutes the heart, it can literally be heard through your ears, delivered by another person's voice.
Yes.
Wow. So even if you're vigilant against those subtle internal promptings you think might be from jinn, you still have to be just as guarded against destructive advice or bad examples coming from the people around you.
And what's critical here is understanding the potential relationship between these two sources. The source material suggests that the jinn whisperer, Shaytan, may actually use humans as a delivery system.
Oh.
Shaytan whispers into the heart of person A, now compromised, then acts as a waswas for person B, encouraging them towards sin or doubt. It's like a systemic corruption spreading through the network.
That completely changes the scope of spiritual defense, doesn't it? It's not just putting up a shield against some cosmic entity.
No.
It's a defense against the malignancy that permeates our daily lives, often delivered via other human beings who are either, intentional bad actors or maybe just victims of their own waswas.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, The Surah is essentially giving us this holistic view of moral and spiritual danger. It defines the threat as having two main avenues of attack. Internal and seen, that's the jinn influence, and external is visible, that's the human influence.
Two fronts.
Two fronts, which makes the necessary protection truly comprehensive. It has to cover both realms of interaction, our inner life and our social environment. The refuge we seek from Rab, Malik, Ilah must therefore be broad enough to cover both the unseen and the seen evil around us.
It provides such clarity. When you feel that insidious doubt or that wave of negativity or that sudden urge towards something wrong, the source might be invisible, or it might be the voice of the person sitting right next to you, or even on your screen.
And that realization is the absolute key to vigilance. It teaches us to critically evaluate not just our own thoughts and inclinations, but also the motivations behind and the likely consequences of the advice and influence we absorb from others.
So the protection sought from the Lord, sovereign and God of mankind, is protection from all hidden evils that try to affect our hearts, regardless of whether they originate from jinn or from other people.
That's the comprehensive shield.
Okay, so let's talk application. What does this intensive analysis really mean for someone just trying to maintain their spiritual resolve, their iman, in a world that's clearly full of both supernatural and human whispers?
Well, the ultimate lesson here is pretty clear, right? Seeking refuge using this specific comprehensive prayer, Surah An-Naas is the foundation for strong faith, strong iman, and protection from this comprehensive dual-sourced threat.
It's the tool.
Absolutely. The Surah is essentially a practical, ready-made formula for spiritual hygiene. And because the threat is constant, remember, the whisperer is defined as retreating, khanas, not disappearing entirely.
Right, it comes back.
It comes back. So vigilance must also be constant. The Surah brilliantly moves from high theology straight into essential practice.
And our source material gives specific recommendations for, listener, for you, on how and when to actually implement this prayer practically. We should probably elaborate on those.
Definitely. The key is establishing a consistent habit, integrating this prayer into the rhythm of your day and night.
Like what?
Okay, first recommendation is simple. Just regular recitation. Make it a familiar go-to formula of defense, often recited together with its sister surah, Al-Falaq, the Dawn, which deals more with external evils.
Yep.
Second, incorporating it into your general daily du'as, your supplications, recognizing that really every part of the day needs this shield.
And the sources also highlight specific times, right? Like before sleeping.
Oh.
Why is sleep singled out as a particularly vulnerable time?
Yeah, that's a fascinating point in spiritual application. Think about it. When your conscious mind relaxes, when it goes offline, so to speak.
Your guard is down.
Your guard is down. The heart is potentially more susceptible to waswas. Sleep is a period of vulnerability. Our defenses are lowered, our internal dialogue can be uncontrolled, leading to anxiety, negative dreams, or maybe just internalizing doubts while we're not fully aware.
So, reciting this surah then.
Reciting this, often along with Al-Falaq and Ayat al-Kursi, acts like an intellectual boundary and a spiritual guardrail. It places your soul directly under the comprehensive protection of the Rab, Malik, and Ilah during that state of diminished consciousness.
So it sounds like the prayer isn't just protecting your body while you sleep, but actively protecting your soul, your heart, from being polluted while you're unaware.
Exactly. It's like setting up a spiritual firewall, a preventative measure against negative subconscious influence. And similarly, the application is emphasized in the morning and evening adhkar.
The remembrances that bookend the day.
Yes, those specific times of remembrance.
Why are those transitions, morning and evening, singled out? What's special about dawn and dusk?
Well, these are traditionally recognized as periods of significant spiritual and energetic transition. The morning adhkar, reciting this then, is crucial for setting your intention for the day, for erecting that spiritual shield before you face the challenges and temptations ahead.
Protecting against the human and jinn whispers you're inevitably going to encounter.
Right. And then the evening adhkar serves as a critical period of sort of review and cleansing, removing any negative influences you might have picked up during the day and preparing yourself again for the vulnerability of the night.
So reciting this surah during those specific times ensures continuous, proactive defense.
That's the idea. You're ensuring you start and end the active parts of your day under that explicit divine protection.
So what we're really talking about here is an incredibly accessible, portable daily tool. something anyone can use to maintain inner peace and spiritual integrity.
Yeah.
It offers continuous access to the comprehensive protection of the Lord, the sovereign, and the God of mankind against all these forms of subtle, harmful suggestion, whether they're supernatural or just social.
It's a remarkably concise package, isn't it? In 6 short verses, it gives you a complete map of the highest authority, defines the subtle, dynamic nature of the threat, identifies its dual source, and hands you the weapon of active supplication to maintain constant vigilance. This is practical theology at its absolute finest.
Beautifully put. Okay, let's try and summarize this deep dive.
All right. So, to conclude our deep dive into Surah An-Naas, we've really navigated the profound wisdom packed into these 6 short verses. We started by establishing the absolute, comprehensive authority of the protector through that triad of refuge lordship, Rab, sovereignty, Malik, and divinity, Ula.
Covering every base.
Every base.
Yeah.
Then we analyzed the insidious dynamic nature of the threat. The subtle, retreating whisperer was Khanas, who relentlessly targets the heart, the suitor.
And crucially, we uncovered that sophisticated understanding of the source of that threat.
Yeah.
It's not just the unseen jinn, the supernatural, but also the tangible interpersonal malignancy that can originate from mankind itself, oneness. Which means the ultimate defense isn't passive hope, but active, conscious seeking of refuge in the only authority powerful enough to cover both realms of attack.
Perfectly summarized. And this surah being the final defense, its placement right at the very end of the Quran. It feels like a potent, lasting instruction for the journey ahead.
Absolutely. And maybe that duality of the threat, jinn, and mankind is the most challenging part to really grapple with day to day. So here's a thought to leave you with. If the text explicitly lists both the supernatural and mankind as sources of the evil whisper that enters the heart, how often do we truly recognize the intentional, or maybe even unintentional, whispers coming from the people closest to us? Our peers, maybe leaders, maybe even family. And what does that realization change about the nature of our daily spiritual vigilance? Does it make us not just guarded against our own negative thoughts, but maybe more discerning about the company we keep and the advice we take?
A crucial question.
Something to definitely mull over until our next deep dive.